think my uterus is trying to kill me. Does anybody have any like good herbal remedies for cramps? Because like I'm over it. I've been doing this for years. I'm freaking over it. Hello. How are you? Happy June. It's that time again, and it's time for me to shut my shelves and make my June TBR. Let's see what I can find. Or I should say, let's see what I found. So there are a few different reading challenges that my bookish friends and I do throughout the year. And we just completed one of those, and that's the Reading Like Lacey. And this year we tried to read 50 books in 1 month. And I actually don't know how I did it, but I did do it. And that's fantastic. But like, I almost don't want to read anymore. It's too much. I read too many things. I read too many books. And then for some reason in June, we do chunky books. It's Chunky June. Chunky Book June. We don't have a clever title for it. But for some reason in June, we read all the chunky books. And I have lots of chunky books. I have lots of fantasy books that are chunky. I can do this prompt. Problem is I don't know how much I want to do this prompt. Also, do we like that? Like I'm dressed like a freaking tomboy today because I don't care because it's the last day of May and I've read 50 books. I have cramps. I go back to work tomorrow. I'm nervous and excited. It's been raining for 3 days. I just want to wear my Philip DeFranco. One day we'll all be skeletons. Just enjoy my life. So don't judge me. Okay? I put on makeup. That's all you get. I need to wash my hair at some point. It's the end of my vacation. I'm rambling. This is going to be a horrible video. I feel like I've lost all steam for filming for some reason. And I think it's because, oh no, I know why. Because I've read 50 books in a month. My brain is fried, like legitimately fried from reading. Also, for some reason, my right eye is a mess. Also, my dog scratched my face. So there's that. I hit like a spot on him. We were petting. He's not violent, but we were petting and he's got like spots that are sore. I don't know. He's old and I must have hit something and he like pawed me off of him because it hurt and he got my face a little bit. We're okay. So in June, we read chunky books. That is the goal, is to try to read 10 chunky books. What's a chunky book? Chunky books are books over 450 pages. That's the arbitrary line that we drew. So I ran around and I grabbed several chunky books that I want to try to get through this month. I don't know if I will because I'm exhausted. And I also have our 3 TBR lowdown picks. We are reading as our main pick, The Other Black Girl, which is arriving tomorrow. It comes out June 1st. I think all of these books come out June 1st, and we're super, super duper excited about The Other Black Girl. Actually, let me read to you descriptions. Okay, so The Other Black Girl comes out tomorrow. I pre-ordered my copy. It should be here tomorrow. And it is about a 26-year-old editorial assistant, and she's the only Black employee at a publishing house, and she's fed up with isolation and microaggressions, and she's thrilled when Harlem-born and bred Hazel starts working in the cubicle beside her. They've only just started comparing natural hair care regimes, though, when a string of uncomfortable events elevates Hazel to office darling, and Nella, that's our original character, is left in the dust. Then the notes begin to appear on Nella's desk. Leave Wagner now, that's the publishing house. And it's hard to believe Hazel is behind those hostile messages, but as Nella starts to spiral and obsess over the sinister forces at play, she soon realizes that there's a lot more at stake than just her career. So it's a thriller. It sounds really good. My friend Lacey has already read her arc of it. Look how messy my iPad is. And we're really excited about that one. The next book that we couldn't really choose, and this one's really short. One's really short, and that's The Chosen and the Beautiful, which is from Tor.com, and it is a sort of Great Gatsby retelling. And it says Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer and Asian, a Vietnamese adoptee treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. says that this debut novel, Chosen and the Beautiful, reinvents this classic of American canon as a coming-of-age story full of magic, mystery, and glittering excess. It introduces a major new literary voice. I am so excited for this one. And it's pretty short. It's like 200 and something pages. And then the last book that we have, and this is from Tor, and we all know that I love Tor. Thank you, Tor, for sending me ARCs, and Tor.com for sending me ARCs of both of these. I've been holding on to them because we've been wanting to read them in June. But the final book that we have is The Library of the Dead. It's the first in a new series, fantasy series. And I know I've showed it on here before, and it does come out tomorrow as well. And it's Ropa dropped out of school to become a ghost talker, and they sure do love to talk. Now she speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to those they left behind. A girl's got to earn a living, and it seems harmless enough until that is the dead whisper that someone's bewitching children, leaving them husks and empty of joy and strength. It's on Ropa's patch, so she feels honor bound to investigate, but what she learns will rock her world. Ropa will dice with death as she calls on Zimbabwean magic and Scottish pragmatism to hunt down clues. And although underground Edinburgh hides a wealth of dark secrets, she also discovers an occult library, a magical mentor, and some unexpected allies. So those are our 3 TBR lowdown picks for the month. So if you don't follow us on, you can follow us on Instagram. We usually do like 1 or 2 reading sprints. We don't have anything scheduled yet this month because of me, because my schedule is so up in the air, because I've been out of my regular position due to my hand injury, which obviously I'm finally cleared to go back to work. So the first day I can go back to work is tomorrow, and I just don't have a schedule. So we can't schedule any reading sprints or anything like that. But if you follow us, as soon as I know what my life is like, we will start planning reading sprints and discussions and all of that. So all of our books come out next month, and you can grab yourself a copy and you can join us while we read those. Now on to the chunkers. So the first book we're going to try to read is by Gaslight. I got this on my recent haul with Naomi. There's a few books from recent hauls in here, which is good because my life right now in terms of I have no bookshelves. I have these shelves in here and that's it, because we are redoing the book nook, and my shelves went to Jesus so he could have his own little space. So we started building his little man cave / our guest room, and he's been squirreling himself away in there and playing video games, and he's very happy. It's not complete in any way, but like at least he has a place to do that. And all of my books are literally on the floor in piles, and I need to paint, and I need to build bookshelves, and I need to do all kinds of things. Which means I'm reading a lot of stuff from things that are readily available, which means the stuff that I just bought. So anywho, that was a long explanation to say I'm going to read by Gaslight by Stephen Price. He's a Stephen. This is a deeply atmospheric, haunting novel about the unending quest that has shaped a man's life. William Pinkerton is already famous, the son of the most notorious detective of all time. When he descends into the underworld of Victorian London in pursuit of a new lead on the fabled con artist Edward Shade, William's father died without ever finding Shade, but William is determined to drag the thief out of the shadows. Stephen Price's dazzling riveting by Gaslight moves from the diamond mines of South Africa to the battlefields of the Civil War on a journey into a cityscape of grief and the breaking of trust, where what we share can bind us even against our darker selves. I mean, she's sick. She counts. Naomi and I are also going to read Myths of Avalon, which I got the audiobook for this. It is 50 hours. It is 50 hours. 50. 50. 50. This is a classic high fantasy novel set around the women in King Arthur's court, and that is really all I know about it. I know that this obviously was made into a TNT thing. I've seen this in the thrift stores a lot, and I don't know if that's because it's bad, if it's because it's like 1,000 pages and people don't want to read it, or if it's just older and so you see it a lot. But I picked up a full set of the trilogy for both myself and for Naomi when we went thrifting. So we are going to try to get through Miss Avalon. That's already like 2,000 pages. Then we have Wolf Hall, which is also another, basically a buddy reading. Everything I'm reading, I'm basically reading as a buddy read, mostly with Naomi. But anyway, so we both have Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, which we really want to read. And this is England in the 1920s. No, this is England in the 1520s. England in the 1520s is a heartbeat from disaster. If the king dies without a male heir, the country could be destroyed by civil war. Henry VIII wants to annul his marriage of 20 years and marry Anne Boleyn. The Pope and most of Europe oppose him. Into this impasse steps Thomas Cromwell, a wholly original man, a charmer and a bully, both idealist and opportunist, astute in reading people and implacable in his ambition. But Henry is volatile, one day tender, one day murderous. Cromwell helps him break the opposition, but what will be the price of his triumph? This is... Give me the tutors. Excited. Lacey and I are going to pick up on where we've been stalling, which is with book 2 of Game of Thrones. So, do I need to explain this? Read book 1. This is book 2. This is my old cheesy copy, which I absolutely adore. I have such a love affair with these horrible old fantasy novel covers, and I kind of wish we would go back to these. I kind of dig them. I want like a retro fantasy moment, but yeah, don't need to explain this. That's on the list. This is gonna be really shiny, but okay, I can never remember what they call this trilogy, but I read The Ruin of Kings with Emma a couple months ago, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. So we need to pick that up and read The Name of All Things. I don't know how to explain this to you, but basically this was, the first book was this like weirdly confusing, but also amazingly compelling dual perspective, dual timeline that meets in the middle. You're told from like 2 ends of the spectrum of a story and they meet and then it continues. It is filled with magical creatures. Our main character, Kieran, is just sarcastic and fantastic. There is this weird mimic, what is her stupid name? Anyway, there's this weird mimic whose name I can't remember, and it makes you like really unsettled because she can like take on anybody, and so you never know like if a character is a real character, if it's the mimic up to no good. So this is book 2 in that. It ends like on this great like sort of cliffhangery moment. You're like, I need to know how this continues. So I'm really excited. This is definitely the kind of book that is great to listen to while you read along, and don't stop reading it. At least for book 1, it was like, don't stop reading it. When I put it down, I was like, wait, it's so complicated. They're so good. They need more. Underrated. But book 2, book 4 just came out. I don't know if I'm gonna read this, but we're gonna try. This is the story of Edgar Sawtell. This is only because this book kept popping up when I was shopping with Naomi, and she kept saying, read this with me and Lacey. And I was like, I don't want to read this stupid book. I don't know what this book is about. You guys don't know what this book's about. What is this book? And literally everywhere we went, we saw this book. I saw it at the library book barn, which I just hauled a bunch of books from, so she'll probably see before this. I don't know. And so I just got it because it was like stalking me, and I'm like, fine, I'll read it at some point. And the lady at the library book barn was like, it's well good. And I'm like, okay, fine. Fine, the universe wants me to read this book, so now I have it. Okay, universe, you can stop telling me about this book. Yeah, I listened. If I can get to it, I'd love to read The Magpie Murders, just to have something light to mix in with all this fantasy and everything else, because that's a lot of fantasy so far, and we still have a whole nother pile. So that's a lot of fantasy. So maybe I can mix this in there. I would love to do this just one day where I listen to The Crown of Gilded Bones, because I haven't continued on with this series yet, and I love this series. I want Poppy, and I want Hawk, and I want weird sex in like strange places and death, and just, so I'm really excited for this. Do I need to explain what this is? It's book 3 in it's book 3 in From Blood and Ash. My brain stopped working for a second. It's book 3 in From Blood and Ash. I'm really excited about it. I'm also like, hello, Bookish Box. Where's my special editions of these? Because like, I spent a lot of money on those. So I don't know if they're waiting for book 4 to come out or what, but like I spent a lot of money to get special editions of this entire series, and I cannot wait for it to arrive. So let's get that coming. I would like to try to read Nosferatu this month by Joe Hill. This is supposed to be really good horror. Hopefully I like him more than I like his dad, because I'm not really like a big fan of Stephen King, as if you've been watching this channel for a while, you would know I don't really like Stephen King. I've read 2 books so far and I don't like them. And I'm sorry, I have to. Is this satisfying for anybody? That was not satisfying. Ooh. So I don't really like Stephen King. I've read 2 books by him. I read Pet Sematary, which was like, and then I read this like random short novella of his called The Werewolf, something about werewolves, and it wasn't very good. And it was very misogynistic, which I feel like is a common, get off of me sticker, I'll have to pick that up later, which is a common complaint. I think that comes into like, people complain about that and then it goes away and whatever. So I think like Stephen King comes in and out of being problematic, but you've burned me twice. Everybody keeps telling me I need to read certain other things, like read Misery, you're gonna love it. And I'm like, I just don't want to give any more time to this man. So Nosferatu is supposed to be really good. Again, it has a TV show. Why do we need to make put these on here? I don't freaking know, but I kind of don't want to know anything about this. I think like people get like kidnapped by like somebody with this license plate. It's creepy, something happens, like I'm in the mood. I'm hoping that like I have a good spectrum of books so that I can not get bored. Plus there's a lot of fantasy. I would love to read Wildwood. So Colin Meloy's in The Decemberists, and he wrote this story, and it's illustrated by Carson Ellis, and it's set in Portland, and it's this middle grade series. There's 3 of them. I've got the full set, and it's all set within Portland and this like sort of magical world within Portland, and the illustrations are really adorable, and it just like I need to read this at some point. I look at them all the time because they're just so pretty, all 3 of them, and I just really hope that I love them, and it just looks like it's so pretty. And speaking of heavier books, I have Isabel Wilkerson's first book, The Warmth of Other Suns, to read. I've been holding on to this one for a while. If you've watched this channel at all, you know that I love Cast by her. So I'm really excited to read her first book. This is the book that the traveling nurse that recommended me this author read and loved and has multiple copies of and has them signed. And her enthusiasm about this book and this author just made me have to pick her up, and I get it. After reading Cast, I get it. She's amazing. She's beautiful. She is articulate. She has a way of delivering difficult things in, she's just such a good author. Like, so good. Anyway, so I'm excited to read this. This is about the Great Migration to the north into western cities from the south of Black people that happened in the early 20th century. And it just follows that whole phenomenon and I guess what happened to people and how that changed maybe the American landscape and all of that. So it's a chunker, and it should definitely be fascinating. If it's anything like Cast, it will blow my mind. There will be things that I never thought of. I think what I was trying to say before is her writing is a lot like someone like an Eric Larson, which it's such good nonfiction. It is very readable nonfiction. She's a wonderful storyteller, and she's telling you facts. So good. So good. I think we meant to read this last month and we never did as a group, but I've been carting it along all month and I never got to it, and that was Crime and Punishment. Technically, my edition of Crime and Punishment is 449 pages, but most other copies are over $4.50, so we said that this can be included. I mean, the font is like super tiny in here, so I'm not surprised. So I'm excited to read this. This is just classic Dostoevsky. The poverty-stricken Raskolnikov, a talented student, devises a theory about extraordinary men being above the law, since in their brilliance they think new thoughts and so contribute to society. Then he sends out to prove his theory by murdering a vile, cynical old pawnbroker and her sister. The act brings Raskolnikov into contact with his own buried conscience and with two characters, the deeply religious Sonia, who has endured great suffering, and Porfiry, the intelligent and discerning official who is charged with investigating the murder, both of whom compel Raskolnikov to feel the split in his nature. Dostoevsky provides readers with a suspenseful, penetrating psychological analysis that goes beyond the crime, which in the course of the novel demands drastic punishment to reveal something about the human condition. The more we intellectualize, the more imprisoned we become. Russian literature. It's great. That's my public service announcement for you. Read more Russian lit. It's fantastic. And then the final thing I'd love to try to get to, which was sent to me by Tor a little while ago, and I didn't get to it, and it definitely falls within the $4.50 mark, just about. It just teats over the edge, and that is...
teats over the edge? What does that even mean? It puts its boob over the edge? Oh my God.
It just teeters over the edge. That's kind of what it... So that is the last book. I need to shut up. And that is The Helm of Midnight, which is sort of this like fantasy mystery. It's dark. In a daring and deadly heist, thieves have made away with an artifact of terrible power, the death mask of Louis Charbon. Made by a master craftsman, it is imbued with the spirit of a monster from history, a serial murderer who terrorized the city. Now Charbon is loose once more, killing from beyond the grave. But these murders are different from before, not simply random, but the work of a deliberate mind probing for answers to a sinister question. Corona Hiravath and her fellow regulators must enter the mind of madness to stop the insatiable killer while facing the terrible truths left in his wake. Like, could we get more like perfect? I have mystery, crime, loved, thriller, love it, give it to me. Fantasy, love it, give it to me. Dark things, love it, give it to me. This book, it's so good. And I'm really excited to read this. And it matches my outfit. Oh, how perfect. That's all I've got. I don't know how many books that is, but that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far, leave down below chunky books and I will hop on and say hello. I really appreciate you guys watching this. Thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends. You can follow me on Instagram at Nerdy Nurse Reads. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video, whatever that may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I